And given that, oh, I'm dead. Okay, that's actually a good sign. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. Carnage new uni dropped. Gore buffs dropped. Had to start with Carnage. Also got him to level 80, luckily. So we're gonna jump in and test him at level 80 in the same parameters and conditions that we had previously tested Venom a couple of weeks ago. So here we go. We are on stage 29 of Mephisto to start, which I know is a low stage for level 80s, but again, it makes sense in the context of the testing versus Venom. And then we are going to go and basically test him on all the other stages as well. We get interrupted by the cutscene there, which is unfortunate. I think it ate a lot of my damage. We definitely could have one-shotted him or been a lot closer had we been able to get through. Now, the damage accumulation on damage taken is going to mean that under the right circumstances, Carnage is going to do a metric ton of damage. And so that metric ton of damage can make him appear to be beyond broken. So we actually just passed, we were just a little bit slower than Venom's speed for this clear. Again, the accumulation really does affect things and swing the tide. It can swing the tide in his favor and out of his favor. But yeah, we end up with a 1 minute clear. Now this is 13 seconds slower than Venom given the exact same build. This is my video from a couple of weeks ago when I had Venom at tier 3, level 80, and we tried him out on that stage 29 with the same strikers and the same buffs and all that sort of stuff there. So we're gonna go ahead and take Carnage through all of the same gameplay and content here to compare them, but I wanted to show you the build really quickly before we go any further. So we have this super cool new uniform for Carnage. We're going to switch off this team so we get his raw stats here: 53,500 physical attack and 95,000 HP. We have 0 Odin's blessings, 0 upgrades on the gear. He's just level 80 tier 3 with the Uru there. Stage 12 Power of Angry Hulk, rank 4 type enhancement, no artifact, although it's PvP oriented, and a CTP of Rage. Now, for those of you wondering about his uniform options, I will give them to you now. They are a mixture of good, like Wong and Human Torch, okay, like Odin, and then straight up terrible, like Magneto Marvel Now. This is not the newest Magneto, by the way. This is the old Magneto, so it's horrible as an optional. The last one is Crescent Light Sirius, which is also pretty bad. So yeah, multiple expensive slash paywall slash native tier 2 uniforms, you know, leading the way. But yeah, Wong and Human Torch. As far as whether or not you can play him with a proc, I will say this: I do think it's possible to play Carnage with a proc, and because he is missing chain hit damage on his kit, Agent Venom would be a good support for him, but a CTP of energy could work really well for him. However, you are going to miss out on some things. So here is where the quirks of Carnage come into play. There's a lot of quirks, so I will try to go through them very quickly. For a proc rotation, you have to cancel 3 right away. You can't let it play out. If you let 3 play out, what happens is he roars, and then these tentacles come out. Now you can cancel after the roar and then go into something else, and as you can see, the tentacles still come out. So you can do, with a Rage CTP, what's called a delayed cancel. So you can delay cancel 3 into 4 into 5. And you can combine the hits on 3, like the tentacle hits on 3, with the spikes on 4, with the just jumping, slashing thing of 5. 5 is a very straightforward looking skill. Honestly, I think Carnage's skills look kind of mid aesthetically, especially compared to Toxin and Scream and Agent Venom and Venom, but that's probably the worst part about his kit. Because otherwise, you know, visually he looks amazing. The tentacles are moving around behind him. Looks gorgeous. But anywho, the Rage rotation, like I said, is 3 delay for the roar into 4 delay into 5. That's with a Rage. With a proc, you can't delay that much. You're going to accidentally miss your rotation. So what you actually have to do is 3 cancel 4 into 5. And you have to time that 4 jump into 5 just like you do with Toxin. So he has a very similar rotation to Toxin's 3 cancel. Actually, Toxin's is a 3 delay. But anyways, into 4 with a delay as soon as he lands into 5. Very, very similar timing to Toxin's 4 delayed cancel 5. If you miss that cancel, you're going to miss a bunch of damage. The other thing that I think is kind of a miss is Carnage's tier 3 skill. It doesn't seem to do very much damage. It has other benefits like giving him buffs and allowing his accumulation to rack up much faster, but otherwise, it also got like a visual upgrade with this explosion type thing. But otherwise, I feel like canceling the 6th skill with his rotation actually serves him better. So what I do when the 6th skill is up is I will do 3 delayed cancel 6, cancel 4 into 5. And I just use 6 for the buff so that I can get that accumulation rate increase. That's all. But you can try a 6 delay. You have to wait until he's up in the air, shooting down, and then you can delay into the rest of his skills. However, here's another quirk about Carnage. If you cancel 3 right away, you don't get the healing blobs. And so the 3rd skill lists a 10% heal, but that heal does not trigger unless you pick up the blobs. So it says there, applies to self, 10% recovery. That's per blob. He drops 4 blobs, so you can technically heal up to 40% of your HP on the 3rd skill, but you have to collect the blobs. So you have to go over here and collect the blobs. Otherwise, you do not get it. Another quirk is that the blobs don't last very long. Let me show you what I mean. If I press 3 into 4 into 5, by the time the 5th skill is done, the animation, there's only a couple of seconds. There was like 2, maybe 2.5 seconds left before the blobs disappeared. So if you get snared or CC'd or interrupted, or the boss moves and you move with him, you can end up not getting the blobs at all. So this actually does pose a problem for Carnage on higher stages where he takes a lot of damage. He doesn't have that tier 4 heal just yet as a level 80. And so you actually end up needing more healing for him, and he ends up feeling like a weaker version of Hulk, at least defensively. But enough with the quirks. Let's see some more action. Against Null, I think, is where Carnage is going to do the worst. And the reason why I say that is because accumulating versus Null is actually harder than most other bosses. Gore and Ultron especially hit you a lot through your iframes, so it makes it very easy to accumulate. But with Null, you really have to pick your spots, because just trying your rotation normally and not accumulating can really leave you with very inconsistent damage. And you actually just saw it there, where that last rotation was pretty pathetic, even though I did sort of the full rotation for Carnage. So I think that's definitely something to note about him, about Carnage, is that he may seem really underwhelming versus Null, even at level 80, because of the fact that the accumulation is a lot harder to pull off. When you get the accumulation, don't get me wrong, he pops off. As you can see here, I have to resort to collecting the blobs. But if you do not get the accumulation, that is where you can definitely run into trouble. I just got my buffs stripped. Here I have to just collect more blobs. And so here I'm just basically running out of time, or I'm losing time, I should say, because we're neither getting good accumulation, nor are we getting ideal situations to not have to pick up heals. So a minute 15 is okay on the first phase. We're going to just combo into the 6 here with the full accumulation block. But yeah, as you can see, if he doesn't get hit, the damage really is kind of pedestrian. Null just doesn't do that much damage. Let's be honest. Null doesn't do that much damage compared to other bosses. He doesn't even attack as often compared to other bosses. We actually just died. Wow. We actually had a better run this time, so we ended up just over a minute on phase 1, so I'm going to keep this as part of the clear here. We obviously had to reset because we died, but what I want to do here is, instead of wasting our full rotation, we're just going to do this, and then we're going to let the hit, when he comes down, allow us to accumulate. I think versus Null, you definitely have to play a lot smarter to take advantage of the few hits that he has, because until you get to a really high stage, Null just oscillates between really low damage moves, like his regular attacks just don't do very much damage, or he does very, very high damage with like the spikes, right? The spikes deal like, a third or a fourth of your health, and if 5 hit you, they just insta-kill you regardless. So I think Null really exposes the worst aspects of damage taken accumulation characters, and they will definitely, like Carnage, I think they'll perform a lot better versus these other bosses who hit a lot harder and hit more consistently through your iframes and that kind of thing, to allow you to reach your damage taken accumulation much more easily. Because that's really the key for Carnage, like Sharon Rogers, like Dr. Doom, you need to accumulate in order to pop off. If he accumulates and he pops off consistently, he can probably keep up with or out DPS more powerhouse combat level 80s like Hulk and Venom. However, I would say that if you don't consistently accumulate, he is going to be worse. So that's just the reality of the situation for Carnage, and it's unfortunately the reality of the situation for all of these types of characters that accumulate based on damage taken. It is a very high reward, but it requires a lot more skill, a lot more knowledge and intimate knowledge of the fight, and honestly, it also requires a little bit of luck. At some point, you just kind of have to get lucky during the fight and get hit enough in the right position with the right setup for things to sort of matter. So we're going to pop the tier 3 here. We're going to accumulate really well, so it's going to allow us to really crank it. However, we don't have enough damage to finish, and we almost died in the process. So that was a little bit sketchy. And then here, like Sharon, is where you're going to see some struggle because you don't have enough, you don't have any accumulation. So a minute 47 is not bad. That was probably, that was close to as good as it gets, I think. That was 30 seconds slower than Venom. And again, I think I could have gone faster. I think I maybe could have pulled that off in 2 minutes, maybe 2:05. That's still, at best case scenario, 10 seconds slower than Venom. And Venom has a very easy, very consistent rotation that doesn't require you to accumulate and take damage in order to pop off. So, yeah, a little bit tough there, but let's see what else we've got. Last thing I wanted to test here is how well can he carry versus Dormammu. We have a CTP of Rage. We're going to use double support here. I know we could use Agent Venom for the chain hit, but I just feel like Sif and, Valkyrie double support are going to just be better. One thing also I want to highlight here is his survivability. At level 80, it is a little bit sketchy. It's even more sketchy when you check him out in other content like Ultron 55. He can definitely die and take too much damage there, which again, it's tough because Venom is ridiculously tanky, and then Hulk is obviously the tankiest character in the game. So it's really tough for Carnage because I feel like he has a really stacked lineup of enemies around him that he sort of has to compete against. It's easy to accumulate in the first phase of Dormammu, so I feel like he does really well. Jera is also helping us out here, but I feel like in the second phase, Carnage kind of doesn't... yes, what's up, Doc? Carnage doesn't do quite as well, all things considered. So, yeah. Less than 2 bars here on this first rotation. We'll look for more opportunities to accumulate, but you can see there, the accumulation really pops off. I genuinely think that the tier 3 skill doesn't actually accumulate for you, because you can see that the damage here is so much better once I've actually gotten hit prior to it. So yeah, if you can consistently get hit, I love you too, man. Thank you, Raynets. If you can consistently get hit, and it's a playstyle that definitely appeals to some players, right? You definitely got to get hit. You got to time it so that you're getting hit every single time. I definitely showcased this as well with Titania and Juggernaut, and I actually had fun doing so. But I feel like some people were hoping that Carnage would be able to get away with not having to do that necessarily, but I think he certainly does. So we're doing pretty good here. Again, for a level 80, I think he can compete with Venom for GBR if you can consistently get hit. But like I said, you're just waiting at some point to pop off, right? Oh, I got debuffed, so unfortunately I couldn't get the full thing off. We're going to purposely stand in this cube to get hit, or the ball, I should say, to try to accumulate more. I don't think we did, though. The fire seems to be a better source of accumulation for me. But yeah, our rotation's a little bit off. So yeah, we sort of just have to, yeah. Let's see here, let's pop off the last couple bars. Not bad. Yeah, I think this really... Oh, I got sent to this. Okay. Sent to the mindless zone. Yeah, that was pretty good. We got quite a lot of help from Jera, but I just wanted to highlight that the playstyle is very much like Juggernaut's and Titania's for Carnage, where If you just do the rotation normally and you're not aware of the moments when you can accumulate, I think that he's going to be a lot more average, and people are going to be like, oh, they're just going to come to the conclusion that he sucks. But if you play smart and you take advantage of accumulating on every rotation, which means that you kind of have to do some standing around in certain content, not as much so in World Boss Legend, but definitely so in GBR, you'll be able to make the most out of his damage. Now, that does make him a bit more attractive of an option for like a Mighty or a Brilliant CTP of Destruction, for example, because you can run around. I also think some players are going to gravitate to that option because of his PvP value. Having the Hello Wolverine, Mr. Sinister, Null artifact means that he won't die, right? Once you get him down to 5%, he'll have that 1 HP immortality. You can pop off. However, as far as the Mighty or Brilliant Destruction goes for a PvP or hybrid build, I do question the validity of that, although I haven't tested it yet, but I'm just speculating, because he already has a 90% penetration on his 4th skill, and that is a buff that lasts for 3 seconds. So that kind of covers his penetration, kind of. Secondly, I feel like he needs the defenses. PvP is so difficult these days for combat types, with Adam lurking around every corner, Thanos doing massive damage, and Hulk literally one-shotting. You could go in the other direction and say, you know what, I'm just going to build Carnage as a glass cannon, and I'll have him as a two-way character. He may have value in that, but then again, he comes up against Hulk as a two-way, with the value being built through a regen rather than a destruction. So yeah, glass cannons are a little bit harder sells there. That was quite a lot of speculation there at the end, but I just wanted to give you guys some different options depending on what you're looking for and what you're thinking moving forward for Carnage. We'll obviously do a much more in-depth view once we get him to tier 4, but this is certainly what I'm seeing thus far. And from what I can see, the tier 4 is going to shore up his healing, which is definitely an issue. Like, I'll show you the screenshot here where we cleared Mephisto stage 59. However, it was difficult. We almost ran out of time, and he almost died multiple times. So by contrast, Hulk can easily crush that stage at level 80 with no fear of dying with a PvP build. So that's where I think the sell of Carnage at level 80 becomes much more difficult when you have Hulk as a villain or Venom as a leader, or as a hero. Anywho, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this first impression of Carnage. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being on the stream last night, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.